no further, so we'll come to our topic today. Okay. So today topic will be just again the basics from where the Linux project got started. Okay. So if you try to understand that why Linux started or why people want to go for an operating system, okay, which can provide this much functionality. So first you have to think that Linux is the not the first project which came in the market. Before Linux, there was a project name was Unix, and whatever the Mac OS currently you are using in your Mac laptop, okay, Apple laptop. So they are based on the Unix operating system. Okay, so basically back in 1964, okay, in the Bell Laboratory there is a project started. Okay, and that project a main purpose was to create an operating system which should be the multi-user and multitask type of operating system. Okay, and whenever we are saying that multi-user and multitask type of operating system, so as the name suggests, that multi-user means multiple people can communicate, okay, at the same point of the time to the same operating system. Okay, and again, what is the multitask? So we are talking about the 1964. Today, multitask is the normal thing for your laptop. Like you can open the Google Chrome also, you can open the Brave browser also. Okay, you can open some other software also. So that is comes under the multitasking. But back in 1964, it was totally new. No operating system which were available in the market that were able to handle two different application or software at the same point of time. Okay, so that company Bell Laboratory started their project. Okay, to keep two things in the mind, that our final goal will be to create an operating system which have the multi-user support and multitask type of operating system. But after doing the high research till the next 5 years, okay, in the 1969 they withdrawn the project. Why they withdrawn? Because in these 5 years they don't got any output from the project. Okay, and from the company perspective, if they are not getting anything and they are still continuing on that project, that will be the loss for them. Okay, so in 1969 they withdrawn. But in that team, which team was there? So yeah, so which team was working in that team? There were two members with the name Dennis Ritchie and Ken Thompson. Okay, they still continued on that project from their side, because they thought that if we work for next 1 or 2 years, we can achieve this thing. So even company are shutting down, we'll be still working on the project. And these two guys started to work from their own side. Okay, and at the last they were able to create the operating system, okay, which have the multi-user and multitask type of functionality. Okay, and that type of the operating system they said it as the Unix. Okay, UNICS. Okay, currently we say it as a UNIX. Okay, but previously when it was created, that time its name was UNICS, and its full form was Uniplex Information and Computing Services. Okay, and again, that once that operating system got created, so what they done, they made it free. That means anybody in the world can use it. Okay, and that's why I'm naming it as a open source. So this Unix becomes the open source operating system. So at that time, any people can go ask for the code, they can take the code, they can use this operating system in their computer. Okay, so there was no any issue for that time. Okay, but you know that there are someone mic is open. Okay, so you know that there are some private companies always there, okay, who don't want that everything people can get it free. Okay, because if somebody is giving you the free operating system, okay, then how their business will be gone? So what they done, they taken this code, okay, they taken this Unix code from Dennis Ritchie and Ken Thompson, different private company, and they done some changes. As I said you that whenever we talk about the open source code or open source software, so in that case, anybody can take the code. Anybody can take the code and they can also modify the code as per their use cases. So there are the different company where they are, okay, like IBM, Sun Solaris, even Apple, okay, and HP UX. So these are the company which created their own operating system. Okay, like IBM done some changes in the code, okay, and they created their own operating system with the name IBM. EIX. Okay. Similarly, Sun Solaris done that with their own name, Sun Solaris. Similarly, Apple given the name as Mac operating system. Okay, and HP given their operating system name as HP UX. And most of the people also say that Linux is also based on the Unix operating system only. Okay, but we'll come to later know that Linux is not based on the Unix. Okay, but why people are saying that Linux is based on the Unix, that also you're going to know in the next 5 minutes. Okay, so don't worry about it. Till now, just understand that Linux is not the part of the Unix. Okay, so these all different company, they taken this code, okay, that was freely available. They done little bit changes, okay, as per their requirements, and they created their own operating system. Now, as these codes are modified and these operating system are much more powerful as compared to the normal free one, because their developer modified the code, they done advancement in that. Okay, so these all of different operating system were termed as the flavor of Unix. That means these all are based on the Unix only, but these are the different flavors. If you go for the Mac OS, they will provide you some extra functionality. Okay, if you go for IBM, they have their own extra functionality, like this way. And during that time only, when this all things was happening in the market, there was a boy named Linus Torvald. Okay, back in 1991, when he was in the college, and for the college project, he have to create an operating system. Okay, and his final goal was also to create a operating system for him project that should be multi-user and multitask. Okay, so basically when he was working on a project, that project requirement was is wait, I think it is lagging, just give me a second. Just give me a second, I'm making it again stable. Okay, yeah, so when he was working in the college project, so as we know that in the final year of our college we always have a project. So his project final goal was that he required an operating system, okay, which should be based on a multi-user and multitask type of operating system, in which multiple user can also work and multiple tasks can also be done. Okay, so for this purpose, what he done, uh, he went in the market, okay, and he saw what is the alternative, which are already available in the market. So he saw that okay, IBM is there, Sun Solaris is there, Mac OS is there, HP UX is there. Okay, but now the problem for him was that he was a student, okay, and he cannot afford, because whatever the operating system this company created, that was highly paid. That means if anybody want to use IBM EIX, Sun Solaris, Mac OS, okay, they have to pay the huge money, okay, to use this operating system in their computer. Okay, and for him it was not possible because he was the college graduate just. Okay, and that's why he came up with the idea that we can create our own operating system based on the Linux. And till then, its name was also Linux. He did not thought it. And if you try to see the Linux name, it is resembled with the word Linus from his first name itself. Okay. So he started to create, and he did not take the reference from this uh, code created by the Dennis Ritchie and Ken Thompson. But these all company, IBM, Sun Solaris, Mac OS, HP Ops, these all are known as the flavor of Unix. Why? Because they taken the code from this open source. Okay, but in case of the Linux, his final goal was also same, that he want to create an operating system with the multi-user and multitask functionality, but he did not take in the code from this open source. And if he did not take in the code from that open source software, that means what he did, he written the all the code from his own. And that's why you cannot say that Linux is based on the Unix, because he did not copy the code. His final goal is same, that he also want to create an operating system which will be multitasking, multiple user can be supported. Okay, but the code he did not take in, and that's why some people get confused that okay, Linux is also based on the Unix operating system. Why? Because both are similar. Both are similar because their end goal is same. Both wanted to create the project where the multiple user and multiple tasks can be operated on an operating system. But whenever we say that there is a operating system which is based on the Unix, like Mac OS, so we say it is based on the Unix. Why? Because Apple developers who were writing the code for the Mac OS, they taken the reference from the Unix code. Okay, so this point is clear to you. So anybody have any confusion in this? Why Linux is different from the Unix? Okay, so if no question for this, then let's come next. Okay, and when we are talking about the duration of the 1991, okay, so for that time also you'll be trying to understand why the Linux kernel name is the different. Okay, and when we are talking about the operating system like Red Hat, Ubuntu, we talked about that this operating system talk to the Linux kernel, and Linux kernel is going to talk to the hardware. Okay, how these things comes in the market, that kernel will be different, operating system will be different. Okay, that you will be get by this point, that we are talking about the 1991 duration. And during this 1991 to 1995, there was a movement going in the USA with the name GNU. Okay, and that movement was basically for asking for the license for free software. That means in today world, whenever you are going to the market and you are buying a new laptop, okay, so in that laptop you get some software already, right? Like you get the calculator, you get one of the Microsoft browser also, right? You get the Word document file like from Microsoft Office, right? Microsoft Word, Microsoft PowerPoint. Similarly, in the Mac OS also you get some software by default. Okay, like whatever the Apple product, Apple software they give it, like Safari browser. Like that way you get many software whenever you buy a new market, new laptop. But back in the 1991, 1995, what people were telling that you are going to the market, you are buying a new computer, and that time that computer was such an expensive thing. But you are buying the computer, and for the operating system, again you have to take the help from these companies. That either you want to use the IBM, either you want to use the Sun Solaris. Okay, then you are paying them for their license, and they are giving you the software. Okay, basically the operating system. And once you got the operating system also, then what you will do with the operating system, at last your goal will be to run a software, okay, like Microsoft Word, Microsoft Office, Microsoft PowerPoint, like this type of the software. So for this software also you have to pay again. So for a person who want to use a computer, he have to spend on the hardware also, then he is buying the operating system also from his own, then the third thing, he's buying the software also. But in today world, what we happen? We go in the market, we buy the laptop, but operating system comes by default inside that laptop. And there are some basic software also comes by default. Some premium software you still want to use, that we have to pay. Okay. But basic software we always get from our laptop only. So the same thing when this movement was going on with the name GNU, and people were demanding that they require some basics of free software that should be provided with the computer. Okay, so we don't have to pay for the basic functionality also, like accessing the browser, using the calculator, accessing it for the to-do file. Okay, so for this thing. So when Linus Torvald created, he created a software which can communicate to the hardware. Okay, and that is known as the kernel, and that was the Linux. Okay, so Linux is not an operating system. It is the kernel which can communicate to the hardware. Okay, so if your software want to get some resource like 2 GB RAM, 4 GB RAM, so they will be going to talk to the Linux. Okay, and Linux is a kernel. Okay, so this kernel is going to talk to your hardware present inside your laptop, like RAM, CPU, hard disk. Okay, and they will take the resources from your hardware and they will share it with your software. So this was the work of the Linux kernel. Okay, then what is the GNU here? So as the movement was going on, okay, for asking for the free software, so GNU is nothing, just the collection of free software. So the when the people they have the Linux kernel, now they are not depending on the Windows kernel or some other company kernel, and this kernel was freely available. Okay, so what the other company done, they took this kernel, they collected some software. Okay, like they, if there is a XYZ company, okay, they know that okay, this browser I will provide them, this calculator functionality I will provide them, and there are some few more software that I will be going to provide them. So when collection of free software you are combining with the Linux kernel, then it is becoming an operating system. Similarly, in the today world, what we are getting, we are going to buy a laptop. So at the last, what you are getting a hardware, then you are getting the Windows kernel, and on top of the Windows kernel, you are getting some basic software already present in your Windows laptop, like Microsoft Edge browser, Microsoft Office. Okay, so these are known as the Linux plus GNU collection of free software that comes from the GNU, and Linux is the basically the kernel. And if you combine both these things, then it will become a full-fledged operating system. Okay, so if you try to understand again here, that kernel is not a full operating system, it is just a part of operating system. And when you merge kernel with the collection of free software, then it's become a full-fledged operating system. Okay, and again, you know that Linus Torvald made it free because his final goal was to create something for a student that can be freely available. Okay, and he created that also, and he achieved it. Now again, in the market, different version of the Linux started to come. Okay, and the most popular one, if you try to see here, that one is the RHEL. RHEL is basically the Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Okay, Red Hat is a company which create their own operating system based on the Linux. Similarly, Fedora is there, Debian is there. Okay, and in others, if you see Ubuntu, CentOS, Amazon Linux, Kali Linux. But why these many flavors of Linux are present? Okay, so all are using basically the Linux kernel only in the background with some little bit modification or with no modification. Okay, and the third most used operating system in the world is the Ubuntu. Okay, so just try to remember this name also. The most used operating system is the Windows operating system. Second is the Mac OS. Okay, and third is the Ubuntu. Why Ubuntu is that much popular? Why not other Linux operating system? So when I will show you the looks and feel of the Ubuntu, you will get to know that Ubuntu is something similar to the Windows. Okay, and as we human being, we already liking the Windows from last 5 years, 10 years, from whenever we are using. Okay, so if we are getting some operating system that's look and feel are similar to the Windows, so we'll try to switch to that operating system only as an alternative. Okay, so that is the case for the Ubuntu. But again, like Kali Linux. So maybe you watched some hacking related movies, okay, where some hackers try to hack the servers. Okay, so which type of the operating system they use? So currently in the market, there are 2 to 3 operating systems which are meant for the hacking related things. Like one is the Kali Linux, one is the Parrot Linux. Okay, so like this, these are the Linux operating system which are best for the hacking. Why they are best for the hacking? So again, you have to understand that we talked about Linux operating system is nothing, just the Linux kernel plus collection of free software. Okay. So whenever we are talking about the Kali Linux, so what they are doing, they are giving you the free software related to the hacking to you. That means, take an example, there is a software called Wi-Fi Aircrack. Okay. So Aircrack is a software. That basically do? So Aircrack help you to hack the Wi-Fi passwords. Take an example. Okay. So this software will be going to provide you the freely available in the Kali Linux. That means whenever you install the Kali Linux at the first time in your laptop, okay, like in Windows laptop, you are getting the Microsoft Edge, Microsoft Office. Similarly, whenever you will install Kali Linux in your laptop, okay, so you will get the Aircrack NG software by default. Okay, And similarly, there are more than hundreds of the hacking related software they give you during installation only. So you don't have to go to the market, you don't have to find this software to do the hacking related operation. Whatever the software they are providing you, all this software you can download it in the Red Hat also, Debian also, Ubuntu, CentOS, everywhere you can download it. Okay, and you can use it same like Kali Linux, and you can hack the system from Ubuntu, CentOS also. Okay, but in the Kali Linux, everything you are getting pre-installed. If you are getting something pre-installed, you are not going to search in the market to download the alternative or download the same software. So it will save your time. So if there is a person who want to use their laptop just for the hacking related work, so rather than using Ubuntu or CentOS, he will use the Kali Linux. Similarly, if there is a person who from childhood he started to use the Windows laptop, now he is so familiar with the Windows operating system that he is not liking any other operating system. But at last he have to find an alternative for that. Maybe take an example, Windows license become so much costlier. So he have the only one option to switch to the Ubuntu, because Ubuntu looks and feels are similar, or he can go with the Linux Mint. Okay, so these all are the looks and feels similar to the Windows. Similarly, all are the different situation based. Like whenever we are start to talk about AWS cloud, okay, uh, AWS cloud basically cloud provided by the Amazon. Okay, so they created their own Linux. So if you are using the AWS cloud, you'll see that there is a their own Linux that is known as the Amazon Linux. Okay, so every company have their own Linux operating system, but the collection of free software which you are getting here, that GNU, okay, this collection will be going to different for all operating system. Some of the software you will be getting pre-installed in one of the operating system, that software will be missing in the other Linux based operating system. Okay, so that is the only difference between this different type of the Linux flavor you are seeing here. Okay, so in this part, anybody have any question? You can keep it in chat also. After here, you have any question or anything in mind.
Is there any difference between Linux and the Unix?
Okay, so see, difference is will be definitely there. Why so? Because both the code are different. As I said you that when Linus Torvald started to write the code, okay, it was written, he written everything from his own. Okay, so if you are writing something from your own, so definitely there will be difference. Okay, but the final goal of both the operating system was the same, and that final goal was to create a multi-user and multitask. So either you are using Mac OS or either you are using the Red Hat or Ubuntu type of the operating system, okay, which are based on the Linux. In both the case, you can see that multiple user and multitask connectivity are there. Okay, but in Windows case, still multiple user are not that much supportive as compared we are talking about the Mac OS or the Linux, because Windows still don't prefer that multi-user is a great thing to do. Okay, like from a single Windows laptop, multiple people can work parallelly. It cannot possible. Okay, because Windows is not meant for that. That's why most of the servers are running on the Linux or Mac OS based. Because in this multiple user can connect, they can work parallelly. And how the multiple user can connect and they work parallelly, that also will be going to see when we'll see the Linux file structure. Okay, how they create different files for related to different user. Okay, so these all things will be going to see. And there are some commands also which are similar for the Linux and Unix. Okay, like mkdir is a command to make the directory that you can run in the Unix also, that you can run in the Linux also, and that you can run in the CMD also. Okay, and everywhere it will do the same thing, that it will create a folder with the name. Okay, but there are some commands which you can use it in the Linux, but for the same command, if you are trying to use it in the Mac OS, that will be the different one. Like there is a, if you any of you know about the IP address, okay, so if you want to search for the IP address, so in case of the Linux, you have to run a command called ifconfig. Okay. Similarly, if you want to see the IP address in case of your Windows laptop, so you will open the CMD of your Windows laptop, and in place of IP IF config, you will be running the IP config there. Okay, so these are the difference. Like this, there are basic difference. So when we start with the learning commands, you will get the difference there. Okay, but again the output will be the same. IF config will be also showing the IP address. IP config will be also showing the IP address of your laptops. So let me show you also by running ipconfig command quickly. So just give me a second. Okay, so this is my CMD. Okay, and just I am running the command ipconfig, and you'll see that these are the IP address list they are giving it. So this is for the Wi-Fi related IP address. This is for the Ethernet adapter. Okay, so they are giving us the list for me. Similarly, in your laptop also you will hit this. Okay, if you are using Mac OS, so open the terminal and hit the command ifconfig. Okay, for the Mac OS people. But the ifconfig command I will hit in the Windows, it will not work. They are saying ifconfig is not recognized. But in case of your Mac OS, you will see that ipconfig when you will be writing, they will say that it is not recognized. For them, they are understanding ifconfig. Similarly, for Windows, they are understanding ipconfig. So these are the little difference. Okay, so which you will be going to get to know when we start with the commands. Okay. And these things also we discussed that whenever you are talking about the operating system, okay, so we are using the operating system just to run the software. Okay, even if you try to think in any other scenario that why you are using your laptop. Okay, so the final thing will be either you are creating the directory, or either you are creating a Word document, either you are accessing internet, okay, or either you are working on some software, you are writing the code, okay, you are programming anything. At last, you are using the software only. Okay, because without software, how you will be going to do anything? Now, to interact this software, okay, your operating system have the two way, either the command line interface or either the graphical user interface. And these two difference I already shown you. That CLI means whenever you write the command like mkdir, ifconfig, ipconfig. So this all comes under the command line interface, where we are talking to our operating system with the help of the commands. Similarly, in the graphical user interface, and its names only suggest that it is graphical. That means mouse will be going to be used. Okay, you are using your mouse to double click on any folder to open the folder. Okay, or you are clicking the right click, then you are going to new, and then you are creating a new folder. Okay, so these all things comes under the graphical user interface. So graphical user interface, in which you, whenever you are creating the new directory, you'll see that there is a folder logo will be there, you'll be seeing all the structure there. Okay, but in case of CLI, it will be black and white things. Okay, where you will be just seeing the letters, there will be no logo, nothing. Okay, and that's why you are seeing the logo, images, everything. So GUI is the takes little bit more time to process, because you know that it is the involvement of the graphical. And if you are using 2 GB RAM or 4 GB RAM laptop, in the today's scenario, you'll see that your laptop is keep hanging. Why? Because the software are getting developed every year, every month basis. Okay, like every year we are getting the update of the Facebook application. So when Facebook application was launched back in 2004, 2005, when their application was coming in the starting year, their application can run on the 2 MB RAM, 4 MB RAM. I don't know how many of you know, but in starting days, our mobile phone or smartphones were coming off our 8 MB RAM, 16 MB RAM. Okay. After that, it started to come with the 256 MB RAM, 512 MB RAM. Today, you are seeing 8 GB RAM, 12 GB RAM, 16 GB RAM. Okay, in your mobile phone. So, like this software becomes heavy, and if you are currently want to use that 1 GB RAM in the today world scenario, and you want to run the Facebook application on that, your mobile is going to hang. Because whatever the latest update of the Facebook application we are using, that is not meant for 1 GB RAM mobile phone now. Because Facebook also know that now people at least have the 4 GB RAM with them. Okay, so they will make the software in such a way that it should be more graphical way, so people can easily to interact it. Okay, so every times updates comes in the market and we have to update the resources also. Okay, so these all things, and again tomorrow will we start to see about the more about the CLI and GUI, and after that we'll see that why and virus cannot attack the Linux system. So it can corrupt the entire thing. But in case of the Windows, why we see always that when some virus comes or hacker try to attach to your Windows, so it is directly going to attack easily as compared to the Linux. And why Linux don't have any antivirus in the market also, for Windows, we are going to in the market, we are buying some antivirus, okay, to protect our the Windows laptop. But for the Linux, we have the firewall concept where you don't require any type of the antivirus from the outer world to protect your system. So these all things will be going to know. So once you understand the Linux file structure, these all things will be going to clear. And once we'll be done with the Linux file structure, then we'll be start to learn the